So we're excited about this type of a partnership. We're excited about the progress that we're making, and we're committed to continue to do this working together. This is an issue that will take a lot of time. We anticipate that there are roughly 450,000 lead service lines in our state. All of them need to be replaced. Our citizens shouldn't be dealing with lead issues, and we're committed to working with our state and local health department partners on making sure people are educated about how they protect themselves from lead, making sure that their homes are cleared of lead, making sure that we're removing lead service lines, and we stand ready to work with anybody and provide the support necessary in order to be able to make that happen. So thank you very much for being here today. We're excited about this, what it does for your family, and we're going to continue to do this across the state. So Rep. Skolten.
Thank you so much. Thanks to everyone for being here today. This truly is a partnership. The city, the state level, Senate Majority Leader Brinks here today, the folks from Eagle, and the federal government. We know, as Mayor Bliss said, so much of the lead contamination that is experienced across the city of Grand Rapids is from paint and dust. But by the federal government stepping up to play a role in replacing these lead service lines, it frees up our budget to be able to focus on the paint and the dust. And for far too long, the cost of replacing these lines has been borne by the city, prior to that, by individuals themselves. I'm here to advocate to make sure that we have the federal resources that we need and bringing our federal tax dollars right back here to West Michigan to do the work that our tax dollars need to do for us. My gratitude to Matt and Paige for opening up their home today and allowing us to demonstrate the good work that we're doing. Thanks to Administrator Regan for all of your efforts to protect our environment and promote clean and sustainable communities across the United States. It's so great to have you here in West Michigan. These days on the way home from my office or running errands, picking the boys up from school or track practice, I inevitably pass some kind of construction on our waterways. It's not all the time you see investment in your community happening literally right in front of your eyes. We often see these huge construction projects, but doing a press conference here today to show our tax dollars at work in our own neighborhoods is so important. I've seen it all around: Baxter, Madison, Heritage Hill, all Grand Rapids neighborhoods benefiting from the EPA's grant for lead service line replacement. Our city was built around the largest river system in Michigan, and our state is home to some of the largest freshwater bodies in the world. I don't need to tell West Michiganders about the importance of investing in the sustainability of our waterways. I also don't need to tell parents that every family has a right to fresh, clean, reliable drinking water. Like every mom, I'm worried about the water my boys drink, if it's safe, if I'm doing what's best for their bodies and minds to grow healthy and strong. Here in Michigan, we know from generations of experience that protecting our waterways is a cornerstone for our public health and the sustainability of our environment. That's why today we celebrate the $5 million investment the city of Grand Rapids received through the EPA's WIN grant. This grant funding and additional funding that we passed through the bipartisan infrastructure law last Congress has been instrumental in removing lead pipes and investing in sustainable infrastructure across the country, particularly in neighborhoods that have experienced historic divestment. We've recognized that we need to do better for our environment and for each other. Clean pipes contribute to healthy homes, and healthy homes set our families up for success. That's why I love to see those orange cones around our waterways. We're investing in safe, sustainable, and healthy homes for everyone. As your Congresswoman, that's work I'm committed to continuing so that all of our families can safely enjoy and experience the great natural resources that West Michigan has to offer. I'm proud to welcome to the podium EPA Administrator Michael Regan and welcome him to West Michigan. He's done incredible work ensuring that the air we breathe, the water we drink, and the communities we live in are safe and livable for all of our neighborhoods. I'm glad to call him a partner in this critical work. Please welcome EPA Administrator Michael Regan.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Congresswoman Skolton, for that introduction, and thank you for welcoming us to your district. We are so happy to be here. Mayor Bliss, thank you for hosting us in Grand Rapids, and you've been a steadied hand in community leadership for many years, so we're grateful for that leadership. I'd also like to thank Director Keatley for joining us today and for your leadership. And also Senate Majority Leader Winnie Brinks, thank you for your steadfast leadership as well. I think there's a theme here that we've all hit on, and that theme is partnership. You know, over the past 2 years, I've had the privilege of traveling all across the country, visiting from small rural towns to big cities. I've met with folks with different backgrounds, spoke with parents whose children have been poisoned by lead and who are worried about the safety of the water flowing for their tap. And for many years, lead was the go-to material for service lines that are delivering drinking water to many of our homes, our businesses, our schools, and unfortunately, too many of these pipes still remain. But the science has been clear for decades. There is absolutely no acceptable level of lead, especially not for our children. And as a parent of a 9-year-old, there is absolutely no greater priority for me than protecting the health and safety of our children. And President Biden agrees with that. That's why President Biden and this administration has committed to removing 100% of the lead service lines as quickly as possible so that everyone in this country can turn on their tap water, pour a glass, and feel confident that it's safe to drink their water. And to be sure we can uphold that commitment, we must first determine where these lead service lines exist so that we can replace them. Thanks to the leadership of President Biden and Vice President Harris and our colleagues in Congress and at the state and local levels, we know that we have the single largest investment in replacing our water infrastructure. $50 billion, billion would it be, for replacing lead pipes, protecting our treasured waters, and building drinking water and wastewater systems that are resilient to the climate crisis. And of that $50 billion, we have $14 billion dedicated to replacing lead service lines all across this country. And we're going to make sure that that money gets to those who need it the most. $150 million in infrastructure for the state of Michigan alone just this year. $73 million in the state of Michigan alone this year to focus on lead service line replacement. Yes. So together, we are working to propel great cities like Grand Rapids into the future with safer, healthier, and more resilient water infrastructure. And to see this work happening right here in our neighborhoods is a wonderful thing to see. But more importantly, it's wonderful that our children see what's happening and see that President Biden and this administration is working to protect your future. So thank you all for having us. And now we'll take a few questions. Well, you know, unfortunately, we've learned a lot from recent history, and no community should ever go through what the community in Flint went through or Benton Harbor. And that's why when the president worked on these resources, he worked with Congress to be sure that the language in the law specified that the majority of these resources must go to disproportionately impacted or disadvantaged communities. So we've set criteria, and I've talked to and sent letters to just about every governor in this state. We're on the same page. We know that these states will not receive the resources unless their plans reflect the resources going to those communities that need it the most. So we're very excited about these resources, but we're also very confident that the money will go to those who need it the most.
So I'm not sure who best direct this to, but you guys all talked a little bit about the grant that the city received to do projects like these. Can you give us just a little more info on that? You know, is that something that other cities across the country are applying for and getting granted? And how did Grand Rapids come about?
Well, I'll start, and then I'll turn it over to the mayor. Obviously, we have a number of programs, billions of dollars that we're making available to cities that express innovation and entrepreneurship to making their communities safer and healthier. This community has done an excellent job in applying for grants that range across environmental media, but specifically the WIN grant focuses on improving water quality. Under the mayor's leadership, during this grant cycle, $5 million was awarded to the city of Grand Rapids, but there are also additional resources that will become available as well. So what I think this community should understand is under the leadership of the Congresswoman, the mayor, the Senate majority, and the state leadership, there will be millions of dollars coming to communities just like this to replace the lead service lines, but also to bolster the wastewater and water infrastructure as well.
And I'll just add, it was a very competitive process. I give a huge shout out to the team who wrote the grant and worked so closely with EPA and EGLE to submit it. I really believe that Grand Rapids was selected because we started this work several years ago, and so we had a plan in place. We had work that we were able to show we were already doing. You mentioned how do we make sure that we're providing the work that needs to be done in disinvested communities. We have a lot of data where the city, we have what we call neighborhoods of focus. We have 17 census tracts where we know we have significant issues and that we have a higher incidence of lead lines. So we had the data to support the application, and we were able to show that we were already making progress and that the grant would accelerate that work. And I think putting that all together made it a very competitive grant application, which in the end ended up getting awarded. And hopefully, our hope, I say this about everything we do in our city, we're hopeful that we are then an example for other cities to learn from. And I believe that's been the case. Yeah, thanks.
I just want to add quickly on that as well. We're replacing 2,000 service lines this year, the mayor said, but there's currently about 18,000 that need to be replaced. So, I can't overstate the importance of the passage of the bipartisan infrastructure law to refortify those grant funds, not only directly for the city of Grand Rapids, but communities like it across West Michigan.